Hello, everyone. Katrina Newbury here. It's my great pleasure to have David Bryan as my guest today on Minecraft Podcast, my podcast. Hello, David.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm grounding.
Grounding. That's what we say.
Sometimes, the part when you're in the process of grounding, and where you're just like, okay, I'm settling, I'm settling, and then you finally get there and you're like, ah. So being in your presence helps the grounding process. So I appreciate you.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. So I am so happy to have you to finally have a conversation for the podcast. We've been planning this for a while, but the timing's perfect now. And I'll just spend a little moment introducing you to the viewers, to the listeners, because they may not know you. So David is a father, a poet, a love warrior, and an entrepreneur for humanity. And I love that. Maybe you could expand on that a little bit, David. Explain to folks listening, what does it mean? What those words mean to you?
Mm. S- Father and poet, I think we
Hmm.
all kind of get those. When I think about love warrior entrepreneur for humanity, huh, it is so my personal mission is to become and experience love and freedom and to share that with others. And I believe that we are love. I believe that we are free, but the challenges of life and struggles and all of that takes us away from really believing that and
Mm.
being that and expressing that in the world. And so it's kind of like the relearning what already
Mm.
exists. And so I just believe that there's so much, we see so much hate, so much war, so many broken relationships. I know I've had them in my life.
Mm.
And so if we can, if people want to fight for something, fight for love and be a warrior for love and a warrior for bringing love back into relationships and businesses and anything that we can bring love to. And so being a love warrior and then entrepreneur for humanity is really how I express myself in the world. I call, or it's like a term I like is impact architect of how do you architect impact, positive impact, social impact
Mm.
in the world. And being an entrepreneur, as I have been for the last decade, I want to create things and put my time, invest my time into things that really are for humanity as opposed to against it, for the environment as opposed to against it.
Mm.
And we call it profit, people, and planet in the social enterprise space of really reinventing capitalism in a way
Mm.
of being more conscious, more communal, more connected. And we definitely see more connection through the internet and technology and AI and all these things that are coming about, but yet we feel more disconnected in
Mm.
certain ways. And how can we begin to integrate nature and being connected to nature and human beings and putting my arm on your shoulder and just embracing another human with love and care when they're crying or they're sad or they're joyful and you pat them on the back or
Mm.
whatever it is. How can we express and bring more love into the world? So I say, I want to be a love warrior, and then the work that I do and the entrepreneurial efforts, whether it's tech companies that I'm building myself, and with my team. It's never myself anymore. It's always with a team. And, we, during the pandemic, this whole term of solopreneur became very popular, of we all can be our own entrepreneurs, but we don't need a team. We can just do this ourselves and so forth. And we all quickly kind of realized we need others. We need a community. We need people to lift us up, to support us. The areas we're not strong, have other people help us. So all the companies that I get to be a part of and help other entrepreneurs take their ideas to the world and architect those ideas and the impact they want to make. It's for humanity and for the planet and for love and freedom, as opposed to against it. So
Wow, what an opening. You've covered so much. I guess I'll touch on just a few points to expand. And one is the balance, I guess we're all trying to find, of using technology and everything that the modern world has kind of come to help us make our lives easier, but then not lose touch with nature, where we really kind of belong, and then through that the actual human connection of that's in the physical world. And yeah, I was just thinking, it's the school holidays here in the UK, so my boys are home, and we're balancing, yeah, the screen times and the use of technology, but and what I see is like going forwards is not to have these two camps, like one are just, we need to kind of almost go back to the stone ages, where we're only kind of living in nature, and then there's no place for technology, and then there's this completely over technology, yeah, just over the top technology everywhere world. And yeah, they just need to kind of like come together. That's that. And then big part of it is us finding that balance within kind of our little world first. It's always a balancing act. But what you said about the feeling of loneliness and isolation that people experience right now, despite all of these advances, like, can connect with someone at the click of a button, it just proves that there's nothing like the actual human interaction,
right.
like you said, just holding hands, pat on the shoulder, a hug, embrace, is nothing can replace that. And as people are getting worried about AI, AI can't, like, supplement that. So
Yeah.
I know you're involved in some wonderful projects that actually bring the true value of humanity and also community, because another
Yes.
point you made is that we all really quickly realized that you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
And to be honest, even if we try, there's no point, because we were built to live in communities, for
Yes.
everyone to use their skills and talents and gifts and use them for the good of others, but within that community.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether you would tell us a little bit about the wonderful project that you become a part of as a member of the leadership team, the
Mm.
Your Couch. I'll just introduce it a little bit before you start,
Sure.
because one graphic that you shared on the socials, I just had to pause and read it again, and it was sobering, but I guess it's the truth. It was the statistics that you
Yeah.
share.
Yeah.
Um, or maybe you can do that if you remember them, or I've got them
Sure.
written down here.
Yeah. Well, there's
Yourcouch.org. Mm.
I'm a part of an organization called More Heart Than Scars. And it started about 11 years ago with a dear friend of mine, Zachary Pavin, whose daughter had a heart defect, and
Mm.
they wanted to kind of find some way to be able to say, you can be more than the scars, the
Mhm.
things, the heart defect or whatever. She can still go live a vibrant life and be amazing. And last year, she did her first Spartan race, and here with the team, 10 years on their 10-year anniversary as an organization, and she was able to go through a race, and then my daughter was there and her friend and so forth, and they're all buddies now and best
Mm.
friends. And they More Heart Than Scars helps. The mission of the organization is that we face invisible scars together, and we overcome obstacles together, right? And we face our visible and invisible scars by overcoming obstacles together. And the big vision of the organization is that we believe in a world where we can get anyone anywhere through anything.
Mm.
And what that really means, we talk about visible scars, and how the charity talks about that. Of visible scars are body dysmorphia, that is people in wheelchairs, cerebral palsy, things that are noticeable, right? When you see they may have a disability or whatever that is. And then the invisible scars are more depression, loneliness, suicidal ideation, drug addiction, whatever it is, mental health, anxiety, all of it, that most of us have these invisible scars.
Mm.
And we believe that coming together and doing things together in community, in service to one another, is really what elevates you beyond your own suffering and into the light and into community and into joy and meaning and purpose and fulfillment in life. And it's not always clean. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes we bicker back and forth as family and all of those things, but we're in it. We're getting in the dirt, as they literally do, taking adaptive athletes in wheelchairs through Spartan races and Tough Mudder races and the mud and the muck. And we did that this weekend, and we were muddy and covered in mud and everything. But the Your Couch campaign came as an idea by Zach Paben, the co-founder of More Heart Than Scars. And a friend of his that he was working with, was struggling with addiction. And Zach is sober for over 30 years, I think. And I think it's 30 years. And these friends of his, Chris and Dalton, he was helping them, and they said, we should carry a couch through one of your Spartan races, in honor of all the people that are still stuck on the couch, because you get stuck on the couch and you're doom scrolling on your phones, or we're watching TV, we're eating too much food, and we're depressed, and we're just kind of immersed. And when you sink too deep into that couch, comfort can kill. We can become addicted. We can get lost in ourselves, in our minds, in the stories that we play in our heads of I'm not worthy and I'm not enough and there's no value in my life. Why should I continue? I hurt people, people hurt me, and the suffering's just too great. And if you sink too deep in that couch, you may never get out. And so Zach had this crazy idea. Chris and Dalton both died of overdose. And a week or so before, I think one of them died of overdose, they were talking about carrying the couch. So Zach said, it's time to carry the couch. And this was a few years after this happened, of the overdose, several years. I'm not sure the exact amount. But he was talking to the parents of one of the kids, who's the Harlan Serenity Foundation now, in honor of their son Harlan. And they said, why don't we carry a couch through a Spartan race in honor of Dalton and Chris? And for those still stuck on the couch, and for those we've lost. And we believe, as Zach says, in this brilliant idea. We were having a board meeting with the More Heart Than Scars charity, and he goes, "So I have an idea I want to present to everybody." And we were like, Zach has tons of ideas, right? He's Mr. Idea Machine. And he's gonna love it when he hears this. But he shared the idea for the Your Couch campaign and carrying a couch through the race, and everybody on the call was like, "This is a great idea. Let's do it." So in 1 month, we all came together, we bought the domain name yourcouch.org. We built the website. We put all this different marketing promotions together. We met with the CEO and the COO of Spartan. They said, yes, we love the idea, because the CEO of Spartan, the worldwide obstacle course racing organization, the CEO of Spartan, Joe DeSena's mission since the beginning is to rip 100 million people off the couch.
Ah.
They've reached 5 million. Now we're going to help them get the other 95 million, because what we talk about, Zach and I ideated through this, and he goes, "Oh, it's 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4 couches." So you're a couch potato, 1, where you're lying down and you're stuck on the couch. Couch potato 2 is you're sitting up on the couch and you're needing help to get up. You need a therapist, you need community, you need support from others. Third is your couch potato 3 is potato 3 is you're standing up now and you're like, okay, I'm gonna walk, I'm gonna go to my local gym, I'm gonna reach out for help, maybe things like that, be around others. And then couch or potato 4 is lifting up. How can we lift others up? So we lifted the couch up and carried it through a 5K Spartan race. And we believe it's starting a movement to encourage one another, all of our friends, all of our family members, you don't have to stay stuck on the couch. You can get up, but you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
You can do it in community with others. So we're excited to be talking. We actually have a big planning meeting tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about all the different tools and resources that will be available, and connecting with other nonprofits and so forth, to be able to really make this a movement, to really represent, supporting those with invisible scars, not just the visible scars. So it's something that's really passionate, but sometimes you just know that the timing is right and you get behind it. I make no money from that. It's a volunteer thing, but I'm passionate about it and I love it. But that's kind of an example of helping an entrepreneur, and then like Zach Paben, to bring their ideas to the world. And how can we do that in a number of different ways? But we're doing it online. There'll be a web and mobile app for it that one of my companies is part of and has ownership in. And then another is just by getting in person with each other at races or retreats and events. So anything like that, kind of coming full circle back to what you were talking about, I believe that is the hybrid approach of, there's a lot of value, the balance, as you mentioned, a lot of value in technology. We're at home, we're at night, and maybe want to connect in with some others for 30 minutes, but we don't want to go to a bar that's the only thing open at night. You could plug into an online community of people, maybe, or just check an app that scroll through how your community members talked about things, and maybe jump in and chat. Facebook, things like that, to connect in with others. There's value there. But yet we've gone to this extreme, in large part due to the pandemic. We became addicted to our devices far more than we ever were before. And now we're trying to say, how do I get back? Kind of like when things opened up, right? And we were able to go to concerts again. We were able to go meet people in person without masks on and see each other, breathe on each other, hug each other. We want both. And I believe that the future of community is a hybrid approach of both in person and online. So I love to create experiences
Mm.
and impact in the world that blend the two together.
Mm. That's the future, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. So, so what's popped to my mind is you've mentioned those we've lost, and the statistics sadly talk a lot about men, the men we lose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so going back to sorry, statistics I mentioned in the beginning is that I presume these are US the
Those are
statistics
US statistics.
reflects, yeah, US statistics. So just to give everyone an idea,
Mhm.
in the US currently, every 5 minutes someone dies of overdose, one
Mhm.
in three experience loneliness,
Mhm.
42% are obese, 11 per 1 minute
Mhm.
die of suicide. And I
Yes.
think it's similar here is that it's mostly men that take their own life. And that's where I want to go next, is that you have not just through these projects but other activities as well, have been involved with helping other men kind of work through loneliness and grief and just generally working through the muck that are our kind of human emotions and the suffering that we experience. And I've loved watching you do that. Maybe you
Mm.
could spend a few moments talking about it. Yeah.
Sure. I think to tie it in is if you can see my shirt, that's
Mm.
the We're Coming for Your Couch campaign and the t-shirts. And then on the back, it said, we carry the couch for those still stuck and for those we've lost, and then the logos, and then it has yourcouch.org on the back. So everything I do in life, it took a long time to get to this as an entrepreneur. When I started as an entrepreneur in 2014, it was very focused on one thing and one business and one cause. And I found myself kind of getting rigid and stuck in that. I was like, but I'm so much more than this. There's so many passions I have, but I know I need to be focused in order to accomplish things, and be consistent and all these things. Yet, how can I weave in my life experience and the things I'm passionate about, the things I'm learning personally into my work and vocation? And that was a journey through that. And in 2019, after I had built a very successful construction consulting business to raising capital from very successful investors in the US, they're one's on Shark Tank, the TV show, and I didn't graduate college because I became a father at a young age, and best thing that ever happened to me, becoming a father. And I definitely have learned to learn a lot along the way. And I was a single father and made a lot of mistakes when I was younger. And as a single father, I was struggling to provide financially, and I put a smile on my face at work every day, had to be strong for my kids or strong in my work, be tough, especially being in the construction industry the way I
Mm.
was. Everything's tough and rugged and this. And I like part of that. I like, getting dirty and being around others and on a job site. There's just something about watching, people of different trades work on different things all come together to create this beautiful building, right? There's something really special about that when you
Mm,
get into the art of it and you begin to
mm,
see the metaphors in it and so forth. It's really interesting. But yet, when we look at men, men have been trained through the years. I look back on my grandfather,
mm,
who was in World War II. He parachuted into Normandy, and he was a radio operator. So he'd get the radio and call. But he was in the war and saw a lot of really painful things. And he came back from the war changed. He didn't speak a
mm,
lot. He was quiet. Um, did a great job raising my dad and my aunt. But yet my grandmother, you know, there wasn't as much of the emotional knowing how to express your emotions.
mm,
And he really didn't. It wasn't as much that way. And I witnessed kind of my grandmother wanting more of that from him.
mm,
And how do we connect? How do we do this? And yet he was a good man, and she loved him, and he loved her. And I love them dearly, miss them both. But yet these examples I witnessed, and then watching my father and my mother throughout their life and the challenges of the dynamics of connection and missing connection.
mm,
And we as men struggle to be vulnerable
mm,
about how we feel and what we experience, because we feel like we have to be the protector, the provider, and all these things, all good things. Yet how do we begin to embrace the feminine aspect of ourselves, the emotions? Ooh, how do we share emotions? How do we talk about emotions? How do we give someone a hug? Like really give them a hug, in an embrace of kindness and love. And I see you, I'm here with you, as opposed to just pat you on the back. I guess guys, we kind of grab your hand, you come in and you pat them on the back. So it's like, oh. And there's also kind of a tough thing about that. And that's the balance, as you mentioned earlier.
mm,
We're working as men to catch up on that aspect of ourselves, those parts of ourselves. And
mm,
it's taking us longer to get there. But I believe there's a movement that is happening, much like our friend Ryan Hartley is
mm,
helping drive that movement, one of the leaders of it, with his podcast, Always Better Than Yesterday, and the community that we're both part of, and developing heart-centered leaders. And what does that really mean to connect to the heart? And so I'm really passionate, as I have gone through my own journey of reconnecting to my heart and embracing grief, not trying to get rid of it, but to
mm,
embracing the grief that I've had through life, through losses of friends or family members or relationships, whatever the griefs are in our lives. How do we embrace them rather than try to get rid of them? We talk a lot
mm,
about grief, and it's like, okay, I just gotta, I'm gonna get through the grief and then I'll be beyond it, right? And I tried so hard to do that. And I'm like, it's not going away. I'm still waking up crying, missing someone I love. And I finally, through the work with great healers and supporting therapists and so forth through the years, learned that grief isn't something to get beyond.
mm,
Grief is something to integrate and make it part of your life. It's part, just like joy is there, just like happiness is there, grief is there. And I don't want to lose the connection to that love, because that's what I
mm,
love. Since I have learned this, I want to share it with others, especially men, in helping men understand that no, grief is the access point to your heart that enables you to bring presence to loved ones. And that is what our wives, our partners are longing for us. Yes, they want us to help provide. Yes, they want us to be, strong, and if the bear comes to get rid of the bear, right? And or to take on the bear and protect the family. Those are all wonderful things that make men men, right? Yet how do we come with love and presence?
Mm,
And I believe that grief is a hidden superpower. And it is a secret weapon. It is a muscle that we develop the same way we as men go into the gym and work out and build muscles. You build your emotional muscle,
mm,
and one of the best workouts is to embrace your grief and spend time with it and get to know it and listen to the messages that it has to tell you. And in doing so, there's great riches that come of presence and love that enter your life in ways you never dreamed possible. And I am living amazing proof of that right now with my daughter in I'm tearing up. I rarely make it through anything without crying, but just the relationship that I have with my precious 13-year-old daughter that just turned 13. And she just did the Spartan race with us. She helped carry the couch this weekend, and she did it with her friends, her third race, and just seeing the woman that she is becoming
mm,
and her growth and her love for others and how calm she is in certain ways. And she's still learning other ways to quiet her mind, which you can teach us so much about with
mm,
kids. And but I want other men. I'm so passionate about helping and being a part of this movement and doing what I can in the process, whether it's retreats or mobile apps that bring men together and communicate in community together and support, um, whatever that is, to be part of men as a whole reconnecting to their hearts because the
mm.
world desperately needs it.
Yeah, beautiful words. Um, um, what stayed with me is the notion of what it is the men are missing out on if they stay
Mhm.
disconnected, even from those, heavy, painful feelings, because
Mhm.
on the other end of that is the feeling of such intensity, but in the positive way, isn't it? And that's kind of
Mhm.
what I feel that you're
Yeah.
kind of missing out. But it's not easy.
No.
I mean, even for women, as you were saying and describing, what it is like to integrate grief and be with grief. That's not often easy, even for women. Um, that's more of I guess, a societal problem is that you just want to, we're always moving forwards, always needing to be productive, and any time that is, I guess, spent in kind of contemplation, just being with things, just being,
Yeah.
is still perceived as unproductive, or wasted or whatever, not understood, obviously. Yeah, there are societies in the world that especially to the east, that recognize this. But that's for another conversation. So I'm
Hmm.
so grateful you're a part of it, because what works best for a lot of people is an example, have a role model that's kind of been there, who gets them, and they can see the journey, as well as kind of, what it looks like on the other end. And what a
Hmm.
blessing indeed your daughter is. So my next question, I guess, for you is that,
Yeah.
so what's changed for you as a human being to become a father 13 years
Hmm.
ago? And also, how is it different to have a daughter, maybe, rather than a son?
Mm. Well, I actually have a 24-year-old son, 22-year-old daughter, and a
Hmm.
13-year-old daughter. And my daughter, Ava, who's 13, is I kind of get to do it better.
Hmm. So it looks like David's screen has frozen. I hope he's going to come back. So he was just telling us about his daughter, and I'm gonna wait. Hopefully, he will come back. Ah, so it's just me. So hopefully he will just rejoin and we will carry on. Wonder how you're enjoying the conversation so far. I am very much so. Just gonna wait for David to join us again.
My
You're
internet
back.
went out.
You're back at the most precious of moments.
Oh, my internet just dropped right at that
Yeah, I
second.
wanted us to focus on that moment. Mm.
Yeah. So with the journey of I was kind of this is what it is. If anyone, I hope this reaches men that hear this and then women that hear this as well. Um, I there is a point that you come to in your life where it's a crossroads that I think we all come to, or that if we're fortunate, we get to come to this. And it's the moment when you have to look in the mirror and you have to say, this is my life. This is how I show up to others. This is how others perceive and experience me and have experienced me. I can have my perceptions and stories of what the experiences of my life have been and how maybe I have had trauma or I have experienced pain and suffering from the hands of others,
Mm.
or at the hands of others in my experience with them and how they've hurt me. And then there's the moment you get the opportunity to look in the mirror and see how you have impacted the lives of others. And do you have the courage? Do you have the willingness and the bravery to be willing to go on an exploration of how others have experienced you?
Mm.
Whether that's our children, our parents, our brothers and sisters, our friends, our coworkers, whatever, whoever it is, and ask them, how have you experienced me?
Mm.
And it is very painful oftentimes to hear the truth around that. And I had to face some very difficult things about how I impacted others. And I can either run from that and say, that's their problem. Or I can say, tell me more.
Mm.
Tell me more. How did I hurt you? And then when you get to that place and say, are you complete? And they say, yes, I'm complete. but I'm still angry or I'm still mad or whatever that is.
Mm.
Then if you've heard of the Ho'oponopono prayer of, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And when you can really connect to that other person, and they may not forgive you in that moment,
Mm.
but they may forgive you in the moment, or they may forgive you later, or they may never forgive you. But you have at least come with presence and said, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And you can come and you've given all you can give at that moment. And then you have the choice. Am I going to continue to believe that I'm still that person and I'm still going to operate in that way? Or am I going to believe a new story that is possible, that I can become something different than I was before, that I can show up differently to others than I did before, that I can love myself, forgive myself,
Mm.
and love others and have freedom within, and then bring that freedom and that joy and the presence to others in a different way, and not be as selfish or not be as hurtful, um, and learn to have compassion and curiosity and empathy towards others, because we ourselves needed that forgiveness.
Mm.
And we can bring that empathy to others. And I had to look myself in the mirror, and I've had to face a lot of those ways that I've hurt others. And then I had the decision to make: how do I want to live going forward? And the last 5 years of my life have been that journey. And the last year of my life has been a deeper dive into that. And I've had a lot of mirrors, thankfully, of those who have said, look in the mirror, look in the mirror. And I'm like, but I'm showing up this way. And I'm like, ooh, I still have more to learn. And we always do. And yet it's that I check in with my daughter, my 13-year-old, and we have a practice with each other. And I say, Ava, how am I doing?
Mm.
Ava, how can I show up and show more love to you? I had to apologize to my daughter in the past year and say to her, I'm sorry that I didn't let you express your anger.
Mm.
I'm sorry that I tried to quiet you with, Ava, just breathe, just breathe. Let's go meditate. Let's go do this. And she was like, I want to be angry right now. I want to
Mm.
express my emotions. I realized that I suppressed my emotions in ways and
Mm.
wouldn't allow others in relationships to express theirs, and just said, let's be peaceful, let's be peaceful, let's be peaceful, because of my own desire to
Mm.
escape stress and not be able to sit with stress and be present.
Mm.
And so I had to apologize to her. And she said, thank you for saying that, Dad,
Mm.
because sometimes I never felt like you really heard me. And I was like, whoa. So now we're practicing that. And I'm
Mm.
still not perfect. There was a moment this weekend where I wasn't as present because I was doing too many things at once. And she was like, Dad, Dad, Dad. You know how kids get in the dad, 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 mom, 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 right? And they can really get on your nerves. But I didn't have the presence in that moment, because someone was speaking in my ear on the phone and she was saying the same at the same time. And I was like, I will be with you shortly. I can't be present with you right now, but I
Mm.
will be with you shortly. But it was a little more, Ava, stop, you know? But it's
Mm.
like, how can I? So we have to check in. And I had to say, Ava, I'm sorry that I responded in that way. What I was
Mm.
really trying to say to you was, I need you to be patient unless it's an emergency and the house is on fire or you're cut and bleeding or dying or whatever. Right now, I can't be present with you.
Mm.
So it's learning to communicate, and it's
Yeah.
messy and it's yucky, right? And so I'm just in it, right? I'm in the process, but it's being willing to show up and be in it and be
Mm.
humble and admit when we're wrong and correct our course and just learn to show up different. So I'm learning, and I have learned from you and your amazing talks and things about, parenting and mindfulness and all of that. So you have helped me on my journey, and I am just one father trying to make his way through the years of the teenage years now.
Mm.
I am showing up for it. I didn't do
Wow.
it as well the previous times, but this time I am committed to showing up for it.
What you've just described is very courageous, that looking in the mirror, admitting to yourself, what you have caused others, and have the
Mhm.
courage to bring it up and face it, and, bring it out to the open. I was just thinking to myself whether, because I've not done anything like this, whether I would be able to do it. I don't know. I'll have to try. And there's a quote I learned recently. It's an old quote, but it just came back again about it. From our kind of ego perspective, we often believe that we have better qualities than we actually have, and that the best, like what you just said, is to just check with others, like, how has it been to have me on the receiving end. Yeah, very
It's
courageous.
humbling. Woo,
Oh,
painful.
yeah, yeah. And I love how you're creating this, what really seems like a genuine connection with your daughter. Because it's that typical situation, what you described, like, we're on the phone and there's that child, doesn't matter how old they are, and they wanting your attention. And it's like in that moment, have the awareness and the presence to say, either, hey, what matters? Is the child now more important? And actually, when I was building relationship with my sons, because it had been very much disconnected the first few years, I actually would be consciously stopping everything I'm doing. They were much younger, I have to say, so that they get my attention, so they learn that they do matter, and that they come first. And then once we've built that, then I could go and say, actually, now I'm on the phone, can I get back to you a little bit later?
Yeah.
um Obviously, like you said, if there's an emergency, that's not how it works, but it's that adult perspective of trying to fit the children into our world, into how it's
Mhm.
set up for us, how it runs, rather than having the presence to take the moment to actually look at the situation through their eyes. How is it, they've got a need, we need to meet their need, and we have our needs, and that's another balancing act. But I really love the check-ins that you do with yourselves, and it's nice that at that age that you can have, 13 years of age, you can have that really kind of open conversation. And for me, my sons have been my greatest teachers and continue to be, for
Yeah.
personal growth. That takes courage as well. If you want to embrace it in this way, go into the deep end. There are some real treasures that you're
Yes.
going to learn about yourself, big time. Um, yeah, I invite. That's kind of part of what I try and do, is invite parents on this journey. Um, and there are other ways. There's absolutely many ways you can kind of grow as a person. For
Mhm.
me, it's been my sons. And yeah, thank you for your words. I do my best, and always learning every day, never ending. Yeah, wonderful. Now, something I haven't said about you, David, is that you like to sing and you
Ah,
like to play the guitar and share it with the world. And
do.
how would you like, maybe as we start to wrap up, share some beautiful music with us? How would you like that?
So, it's interesting. The first time I ever played music was at my baccalaureate, no, at my chapel talk, my senior year in high school, was a like performance thing, whatever, first one. And I played this song called Love Song by Third Day. And this was 27 years ago or something. Um and and the microphone didn't work, and I'm here in front of like all my classmates. That was a boys school, a private school, and in front of all these, boys my age and younger, and and I'm playing, and I'm like, you know what, just let it rip, just go, forget the microphone. I pulled my chair up to the edge of the stage, and I said, guys, I'm not plugged in. The guitar's not plugged in. My microphone's not working. I'm just going to belt this. So you guys have got to be with me. Okay. And they were like, all right. So I just let it go, and I sang this song, and they gave a standing ovation. And I was like, wow, okay, music might be something I could do in my life. And then I was studying music in college, and then found out I was going to be a dad. And then I had to cut my hair and get a real job, kind of thing. And and so I kind of put music on the back burner for a while. And and it was like a loss of a dream. And then about 10 years ago, a little more, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, where there's a lot of music, country music mecca. Um, and I'm more of an acoustic folk kind of feel, and is what I'm more connected to in life.
Mm.
And about 10 years ago, I was like, okay, I'll try this music thing again, and try to get back into something I love, and started recording some songs with a friend of mine. And then just one day I realized, if I go this path as a career, I'm going to be gone 250 days out of the year, traveling in a van, and just not a healthy lifestyle for me. And I have 3 kids. 2 of them live 2 hours away. So I'm driving on the weekend. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to be there at all for my kids if I had gone that path. So I stopped the path of trying to be a professional musician,
Mhm.
then put music on the back burner for a while again.
Mm.
And then in the last, I'd say, year, just said, you know what? I just want to play. No pressure. I've been writing poetry online on my Instagram for several years now, and I've loved expressing myself in that way. And I love, people are like, you should do a poetry book. And I'm like, if I do it, I want to donate it or something, like make it as a donation, the proceeds, to a charity, as opposed to something I make money off of, because this art form is a way that I can just express myself authentically, and to give and serve others authentically, using art in the gift of music, and how it moves us and connects us to our heart, right? And so um in recent months, I was just like, I'm just going to go live, and I'm going to play. And I had a song pulled up, one of my favorite songs by Foy Vance, called Guiding Light. And it is one of my favorite songs. But instead of that, I'm going to do what I do on Instagram and Facebook, where I go on live, I pick my guitar up, and I play whatever comes to my mind. Total improv. I have no idea what I'm going to sing about right now. But in the spirit of this conversation, I'm going to show up, and I'm going to be brave and courageous. And I'm just going to give. And I'm going to just, whatever comes out. It may sound good, it may not sound good. The lyrics may fumble, I may miss the things, but isn't that life?
I
Isn't that
love
we
that.
just show up? And so that's what I'll do. I'll just play whatever comes to my mind and my heart today.
I'm so glad you decided to do it. I was kind of hoping you would. So,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So we can, usually what I do with this is I just kind of tap in, and it's actually a process we can work on. So for any men that are out there that are wanting to learn to connect and tap into their heart, this is a way you can do this. So it's a practice that I use using music. Some may use poetry, some may use clay. Maybe they play with clay. Maybe they do woodworking with their hands. Maybe they like to work on their cars or whatever it is. But what I do is, here's the practice. This is how it works. What I do is I tap into something I love. I go into something I love, which to me is the guitar, is music and words and lyrics and song, using my voice, and I get into this place that's kind of my happy place. And I just tap in and I just kind of start feeling into it. And then once you start doing it, things begin to come up and you get out of your head and you get into your heart. And that's that dropping in, that anchoring in. And sometimes it takes me a little bit. And so I don't know how long it's going to take me here, but I'm going to just do it and we'll see what comes out. But as you get out of your head, which right now in this moment, I'm in my head. So you're going to witness in this process the moment of you'll actually experience me going from my head and into my heart. And it starts with the act of moving into something that you love. That's the practice that I do. So here's my guitar, and we're just going to play. So just right now, even now, as I pick the guitar up, I'm being present. This is part of the practice. I'm being present with the guitar. How does it feel? Is it cold? Is it warm? Someone very precious to me is an Ayurvedic practitioner, and she talks about the paying attention to the smells, the feels, all of that. This was something we were talking about yesterday, actually, and I so right now the guitar feels a little cold. The strings feel a little rough. I'm already feeling myself drop into my heart as I'm experiencing my senses. And I can feel this feels familiar to me. I remember it. I remember the experiences I've had with this guitar. I remember the emotions that have been expressed, the places. I'm thinking of good memories of places. See the smiles coming up right now, of memories of remembering beautiful moments in my life or sad moments or whatever, and all of it. And you just welcome it all. You just feel it all. You just feel everything that comes up as you're feeling it. And then after you're kind of I'm experiencing, I'm tapped into it. I'm experiencing, what does it smell like? It's a familiar smell. I smell the wood and the beauty of it, the gold, the silver, the wood, and it's all connected together in the shapes, in the different shapes of the guitar. So I'm very much tapped in right now. I'm out of my head and I'm into my heart. And so then you start just little things. You just feel the strings, you listen to the sounds. You're gonna tune it. And sometimes we're out of tune, we're out of resonance. We got to get into tune. We got to tune in, right? Oh. Hmm. So just like tuning a guitar, we have to tune our relationships to the right frequency in order to hear each other and see each other and connect with each other. And And sometimes that's a little uncomfortable at first, and like it is right now, it's a little uncomfortable. It's like, what is he doing? Why is he tuning this? When's it going to be over? Right? But we're tuning into each other, and in relationships, sometimes it takes a little longer to tune in with each other. But once we connect, once we're there, then that's where all the magic in the world can happen in our relationships. And so a lot of what we talked about earlier with my daughter, that's who I want to play about right now. I want to sing about her. Um, oh, definitely in my heart now. Um, so you're witnessing this and experiencing this, and yeah, so it's more in tune. So now we're more in tune with the energy. I remember the day you entered my world. I was so scared. How could I compare to the other father when I was so far gone and I didn't know how I come home? But I just kept walking, trying, breaking. You just look up at me and say, you're my daddy, and I love you so. Oh, my daddy, let's go. Daddy, let's go. You're growing up now. Teenage years are here. And oh, you test me. You changed me for the good. I'm here, my little girl, let's go. Here we go. Let's go for it all. Let's live every day. Let's go. When there is storms on the horizon, I will not run. I will stand for you. I promise you. Let's go. Oh, let's go. Ava. Oh, let's go.
Wow.
Just gotta drop in, just show up.
What
Never
a
know.
privilege. Mm, thank you so, so much. How did that feel?
I feel so connected right now.
Amazing.
That I can just
Yeah.
feel her. I can feel her heart and just her
Mm,
smile. And, there's so much joy and excitement about the future with her and all we get to do together every day. And it's just, because I stepped into the grief, because I faced all the things I didn't show up well before, and I forgave myself. And I said, I can do it different now. And I get to choose to be different now every single day. Then it's just showing up and it's just connecting into my heart that may feel uncomfortable sometimes because I want to be in my head. But instead I can just connect into my heart and just be. And I've learned that just being there with presence is far more than anything that I could ever provide or do. That's the greatest provision that I can ever
mm.
give my daughter. So, and give myself and others that I love. So it's an
Thank you
honor
so,
to
so
be here.
much. Wow. So
Yeah.
powerful.
Yes.
Doesn't feel right to be doing anything else or going anywhere else right now. So let's end our conversation in a musical piece. um, maybe one last thing.
Sure.
Do you have a message for any fathers who are now trying to reconnect with their children?
Don't be afraid to look in the mirror.
Mm,
Don't be afraid to admit where you were wrong. Don't be afraid to listen. Have the courage to listen. Because through that is the path to where you dream of being. That's the connection that you long for. It's through facing yourself and facing how you show up, because that's all you can control. You can't control how your kids respond. All you can control is how you show up.
mm,
So have the courage to listen and to show up and to say, oh, that's how I hurt you. Tell me more. Have the courage to say, tell me more. So that's what I'd say.
Powerful stuff. Thank you so much, David. Thank you for your time, for your energy, your music, and all the best with all your projects. Very exciting.
Thank you.
Great.
You as well. Thank you so much. It's been
Bye
an
for
honor.
now. Thank you. Bye for now.